Well, I think it's very simple. I live in Hyderabad, and then I used to work with the WWF International for about 19 years as a head of their water program. I'm from Hyderabad, so I thought since it's happening here, so I registered and then came here partly to see friends and listen to what the debates are. My expectations are not very high, but I think if all this culminates into some sort of actionable points, particularly to India, particularly to state of Andhra Pradesh where I'm living, and that's a modest expectation.
Sir, tell us something about your organization. What work does it take up, and what is the mission and vision of your organization?
As I said, I was there in these kind of meetings for quite a long time, from Rio 92 onwards. That was my job, and it was reasonably well-paid job. I mean, living in Switzerland and all. So after a while, you get into a thinking mode. So, okay, we can tell the world to do the good about climate change and the water. Water is my primary forte. So then I got that, can we really do about it? Is it possible to change it? Probably those are the kind of questions many of these conferences are either subtly avoid or grapple with it. So I thought, okay, let's do something, and then particularly I started this organization. Is it possible to reduce the water without compromising the productivity of Indian agriculture? Because the agriculture in India consumes, or at least demands 80% of the water, 80 to 85. So if we can reduce at least 10% without compromising the productivity, probably we could address many issues, including climate change, water crisis. So that you need to start somewhere. We started it with rice, which, as I earlier told, the system of rice intensification it's extremely simple, and which has the very formal friendly approach. You do things 6 principles differently. So initially it worked very well. So now about 1 million farmers do that. I was part of the group which I spearheaded from the ICRISAT here. There's an International Crop Research Institute as a part of my WWF job. So based on that, again, I put together a package or a process for sugarcane, which is now reasonably known in India, called Sustainable Sugarcane Initiative, which reduces the seed and the water and fertilizer and pesticides, but it increases the productivity. So why I got into is that there are a number of proven simple methods where the Indian farming can improve. We can debate about these things about the non-GM or GM, etc. But I think we need to come out with equally powerful approaches which are proven in the field so that the farmers can take up. So that means there is a possibilities of reducing the input costs, both the water, the fertilizers and pesticides, but you can increase the productivity. So these two major crops which consume a lot of water, and I'm focusing on that, and fortunately we have a small team, and I work in Maharashtra and Gujarat, in UP and Orissa with a massive following, about tens of thousands of farmers we work. But still the most difficult aspect of it is to build the businesses around this. It's going to be a biggest challenge probably entrepreneurs in India has to, because I don't call myself entrepreneur, but I turned into entrepreneurship. I think the next generation of the debates like CBD or many of the UN conferences should primarily focus on the good businesses. Is it possible to do business? The good business is not a wrong word, and we need to attract the best minds, young minds, to do the business on the sustainability. I'm sure it will happen, but it is taking longer than normally expected. But that is a track probably we need to move on in terms of the climate change and water.
So, tell us something about the method of reducing what I would say water footprint in the agricultural sector.
Yeah, it's a water footprint. Yeah, this is I think I was a part of the water footprint network we set up in the beginning in Europe. I think what it is, the challenge is until now the farmers for last 40 years have listened to the scientists. That means if you want more production, you need to give more. It made a actually sends to everybody, obviously if you want more, you need to pay more. I think we need to reverse that paradigm. In a nature interactions, you don't really need to give more in order to get more. So it immediately rejects the conventional thinking. That's why the first hurdle we got through is the basically scientists. I'm also a scientist, but basically they say it's not possible. So it is possible. First we thought we should reduce the seeds. So for example, normal 1 hectare of rice cultivation in India requires about 70 kilos. But we proved that 5 to 6 kilos are enough. The first thing is that the resistance is it's just not possible. Yes, it is possible. For that you need to plant wide. So when you plant wide, people said your plant population is not good enough to get the yields. Actually, once you plant wide, the plant becomes efficient to absorb the solar energy. So it is becoming much more robust. Then when your plant itself is becoming robust, you don't need more fertilizers because it starts taking from the nature. So then you have a problem of water because rice doesn't require the standing water, contrary to brainwashed many of us that the rice actually can survive in the stagnated water, but it won't require the water. And that is a major breakthrough or major psychological breakthrough. It just requires the soil saturation. That means essentially you can cut down 50% of the water through a water management. Then all this combined gives at least 25 to 30% more, whatever your seed may be. The other is we debate which in these conventions is seed. Through seed we control the agriculture. Now we need to liberate farmers from the constraint of seed. They can use any seed, and that makes the diversity of the rice, because in the turn of the century we had about 100,000 cultivars in this country. Now effectively you have 10 or 15. So the next business will be the consumers in India will be demanding more variety of rice rather than the same, more of the same. So all this fits in, and it looks too good to it, but it is really good. The most of the breakthroughs are simple, because normally we have trained scientists to make so complicated so that they can get their name or patent. So we need to simplify and we need to resolve this. Unfortunately, the investments in that direction are going so little that talking about problem is attracting more investments and more money than doing something about it. So the challenge, which even though it is that we are facing an immense challenge to raise investments, until now I spend my own savings and then but we will get there, and then it's a conscious decision to be a profit organization. If I had started an NGO, probably it would have been easier, but that would not have get me this lot.